the challenges you faced in the last year, some of the success and some of the difficulties that we've had over the last couple of years have really separated top-performing companies from some of the also-rans. My goal for you is to be a top-performing company. I hope that's your goal as well. We're going to talk a little bit about refining your competitive advantage. How many of you feel like you have a clearly defined competitive advantage against people in your arena? Anyone? Wow. So we feel like oftentimes it's dog eat dog. We feel like we're out there fighting. We've got everybody in the world in our arena. And how do you separate yourself, right? And that's the challenge. If you're not careful, every business can become a commodity. And that's the worst thing you can do for yourself or for your brand is just become a commodity. So let's talk about a few things this morning. Competitive advantage. Competitive advantage is clearly defined as a condition which enables a company or an individual to operate in a more efficient or otherwise higher quality manner. And notice I said company or individual because a lot of us are independent contractors. We're one-man operations. We're one-man companies. We're individuals who are out there every day with all the workload on our shoulders. And I understand that because I'm in that same capacity. I'm a chair for Vistage International. Vistage has about 1,000 chairs across the United States. We also have people in 14 countries. And we actually work with business owners and CEOs, but we're independent. I have resources at Vistage, just like you have resources through your network, but I am a one-man company. And so there's challenges there that we all face when we're in that situation. It says in a more efficient or otherwise higher quality manner than the companies it competes with, and which results in benefits accruing to the company or the individual. What are the benefits? Let's talk about those benefits for a minute. Those benefits generally are stronger brand awareness. If you're an individual, you're a brand. If you're a company, you're a brand. How are you representing that brand to the people that you're doing business with or hope to do business with in the future? It also results in greater revenue, and that's the goal we all have, and it results in greater profit. So those are three clearly defined benefits that you're going to get from refining your competitive advantage. Greater brand awareness, increased revenue, and increased profits. I have a question. Does anyone here travel by air? How often? 3 times a month? 4 times a month? Who's the first place you go to when you go online to book a ticket? Huh? Southwest. I beg your pardon? Why Southwest? What was this? Cheapest, no frills. Do you want to be known that way in your particular business? Don't know. Customer service. Reliable. What else? Anything else? Well, let's talk about Southwest because they have a clear competitive advantage. I didn't hear any other airline mentioned today. Did anyone else? No. Southwest Airlines has had 38 straight years of profitability. 38 straight years of profitability. That's unheard of in the airline industry. How many government bailouts have we had to have there? In 1985, you could purchase 100 shares of stock for only $26.88. If I would have only known in 1985 where I could have put that money, right? The average annual return is 17.5% at Southwest Airlines. What is their competitive advantage? Is it cheapest fares? Is that their competitive advantage? What do you think their competitive advantage is? Anyone? Okay. So you believe they're customer service focused and they're friendly and they take care of you when you go to them. Now, they don't always have the best systems as far as getting on the plane, getting off the plane. You got to fight for the seat you want and so forth, right? But we're loyal. Here's their real competitive advantage. Their real competitive advantage is their people. Their people is their real competitive advantage. how did they begin in the early days with a selection process? Not many people know this, but in the very early days when Southwest identified that they would go on airlines and they got zero customer service, when it came time for the plane to land and the stewards and stewardesses were so focused on themselves, taking care of putting their stuff away, taking care of their needs in this critical moment, okay? And the customers were alienated by that. So what Southwest identified is we want people who are externally focused instead of internally focused. And the way they began their company is they had a selection interview process that was done by groups. They would bring a table of 7 people in, and one person would get up on the front of the stage and do a 2-minute presentation on why they wanted to work at Southwest Airlines. They were not selected by how well they talked, presented, challenged, or presented themselves to the group. The people who were selected to work at Southwest Airlines were monitored as to how they behaved at the table. And if they were focused on their phone, their notes, jotting down things, primping in the mirror, they were marked off as a no. Those individuals who sat at the table and were engaged with the speaker, nodding their head, giving encouragement to the speaker, were selected to work at Southwest Airlines. Now, how many times have we heard this in 5 or 10 minutes here this morning that people go there for the service, right? The reason they have the service is because they figured out how to hire the right people. And those people made a difference in that organization. So people is their competitive advantage. They have a have-fun culture, and people actually take on multiple roles there. When you go to Southwest, you'll have a gate agent. That person may also be working on the front for tickets. They may go down below and help with baggage. So they have this exciting culture where people feel empowered. That's their true competitive advantage. Who do you choose for travel? Based on what we said, most of us choose Southwest. McDonald's restaurants. Has anyone ever eaten at a McDonald's? Yeah? How long has it been since you've eaten at McDonald's? If you got small kids, you've probably been there this week or you're going tomorrow, okay? I'm thankful that my kids are grown. I don't know about you. McDonald's, they did $23 billion in sales in 2010. They had $4.9 billion in profits. They have a $79 billion market value. What is their competitive advantage? Anyone? Consistency? The brand? What's their real competitive advantage? Anyone else? Speed? No. Their real competitive advantage is location. Think about it. How many times have you driven down the road and the only thing at that exit is a what? McDonald's and a gas station, right? They are everywhere. And their entire strategy has been be everywhere, okay? You don't go to McDonald's for the quality, correct? We don't. You go because they're convenient, and then they layer the other things on top of it. More than 32,000 restaurants at McDonald's. They have a new restaurant opening every 3 minutes. That's amazing in the world. They have restaurants in over 117 countries. And I, for one, am glad that my youngest son now is 17. Warren Buffett. Anybody ever heard of Mr. Buffett? What does Warren Buffett look for in companies that he goes to acquire? He looks for a sustainable competitive advantage. Please write that down. Sustainable competitive advantage. Southwest developed a sustainable competitive advantage in people. McDonald's developed a sustainable competitive advantage in location. What is your sustainable competitive advantage? I've seen organizations and leadership teams that say, we will compete on price. I promise you, someone will beat you on price. That is not your solution. So you have to develop something other than that to truly gain the competitive advantage you're looking for. If Warren Buffett examined your company, would he find a true competitive advantage? Here's 3 key questions I want you to think about throughout the day. We have experts on the stage that will be answering questions, fielding questions from you. We're going to be sharing information with you to build your knowledge. Knowledge is critical. I'm not telling you that anywhere along my presentation, I'm not saying that knowledge is not important. You must be an expert at what you do. But beyond being an expert, there's more that you have to define. 3 questions. What do we do well? What do I or we do better than our competition? What do they do better than us? And how do I do more of that? When you ask those 3 questions of yourself and your team, you will begin to narrow down the focus of what the true competitive advantage needs to be. Everybody got those? Where do you start? Your unique selling proposition. Oftentimes, we try to sell based on what we believe. I'm going to challenge you throughout the day, begin to think like a customer. Think about what they want to hear, what they want to see, what they want to learn. And think about what the unique selling proposition is for your business. When I first became a Vistage chair, I had a 2-minute elevator speech. Anybody ever had one of those? You write it, and it's about this long. And somebody says, what do you do? And you start saying what you do, and about 2 seconds into it, they take out their BlackBerry or they take out their iPad or something, and they're totally distracted. They're not even listening. Anybody ever had that happen? When you start talking about your business, you need to be able to stop people in their tracks. So I defined a real simple little statement. When people say, what do you do? I tell them, I help people who run companies sleep better at night. That generally provokes a question. What did I want to do? I wanted to engage them in conversation, right? So I've got a unique selling proposition. I help people who run companies sleep better at night. That engages people. Feel free to steal that or plagiarize if needed, okay? Let's talk about what a unique buying impulse is. Your customer has 1,000 reasons to say no. 1,000. And they will use every one of them. As you go through the day and as you begin refining your competitive advantage, think about the unique buying impulse. Most people only have 1 or 2 or maybe 3 reasons why they will actually say yes. But there are thousands of reasons why they say no. So when you're engaging that client and that customer, spend time asking questions. We oftentimes spend more time telling than asking. And I want to challenge you to learn to ask the right questions so that you can probe into what the key buying impulses are for those people you're interacting with. Where do you uncover these? 3 places. Your own perspective, your employee's perspective, and your customer's perspective. So make sure you're engaging people with the information that you learned today that we share with you. Figure out metrics that matter. Metrics that matter, you need guarantees, terms, quality factors, inventory turns, occupancy ratios. You need to know what really is significant in the minds of the customer. And you only get there by asking the questions to figure out which one of these will be that trigger point, that buying impulse that makes them want to do business with you. There was a financial firm. Before going through this process, they thought their competitive advantage was professionalism, a professional staff, knowledgeable, flexible, and strong client relationships. After going through this process, they realized that their real competitive advantage is that they were the fastest growing fidelity firm for 3 years in a row, that they were ranked in the top 10 of money managers, okay, and that they were the only firm featured in fidelity. That separated them from the pack. Once they did that, their business had exponential increases. Once you identify your competitive advantage, you're going to tell the world about it. You're going to put it on your website, your signs, your business cards. Put it everywhere. Plaster the world with your message. We'll talk about 5 fatal flaws a little later today, but more importantly, let's dig in. We've got a lot of great information for you today. We have experts that are going to share knowledge and information. We want you to be engaged.